Never having visited South Africa before, I could only guess what it would be like fishing here. What I had imagined was flat, open fields and dry grasslands, bleached out by hot, dry days. But because we drove into camp at night, I would have to wait until first light before I could see it. Wow, first light brought a glorious morning.
It's just a beautiful area. Now, is this the spot where the baboons are, you were saying?
Yes.
So I just watch the top of the cliff and I might see one, but they won't hurt me if I don't hurt them. Is that the deal?
That's the deal.
And what are we fishing for here?
Rainbow trout and a couple of browns. If you treat it, you might get a little brown trout, but mainly rainbows.
I know that every river fishes differently, and you guys have probably got the flies figured out.
Well, we have. We like to think we have, but you always fantasize about that fly that you didn't pack. Here's the pheasant tail nymph, tiny size 20,
tiny.
And there's the zac.
I've had good luck with pheasant tails.
Oh,
and
yes.
this is a zac.
Yes, that's a local fly, which is designed by a local angler, local legend, Tom Sutcliffe. And he does all his small stream fishing mainly with the zac.
So which one is the dropper?
This one.
The little one's the dropper.
The little one.
So this bead head is bouncing along the bottom.
And then that one's free to emerge.
Right. I'm gonna go catch my first fish in South Africa.
The river cut its way along the valley, choked off every here and there by rocks, walled dams that created holding pools. The shallow pools took on an emerald color as the moss and algae reflected through the slow-moving water, slow as a result of the dams. It will be a very beautiful place to fish, this blue lagoon, in the lee of the rock-faced cliffs. The cliffs were dotted with nesting birds, and also home to an elusive troop of baboons. Baboons, baboons, as they say. This river would hold the attention of any advanced fly fisherman because it demands technical casting. The intimacy of the space limits the sports to one or two spots from which to cast. The trees and the tall grasses dictate a backhand cast presentation, a roll cast, a natural presentation bouncing off the large boulder into the center of the pool. Not casting, but instead loading the fly off the water on your downstream cast, and like an elastic band, ping, releasing it from its hold and allowing it to shoot forward. A reach men cast also works, and it will help keep the line from spooking the fish. And/or lastly, my favorite, turning around to face the bank and casting above the trees and presenting the fly on your backhand cast. Ta-da! The rock face towered over us like an office building from the big city and acted as a wind guard. The already gin-clear water was pancaked flat, and this made it mandatory to stay well hidden from the cruising fish that were consolidated in a 10-foot area due to low water conditions. It was as if there wasn't any water there at all. When I put on my polarized glasses, I studied the pool, a few fallen trees, branches cushioned with moss, the odd round boulder placed so perfectly as if in a Japanese garden. And I thought to myself, this is not what I thought fishing in South Africa would be like. In fact, this is better. I would be fishing for wild rainbows. They were not educated to a fly, and I felt from observing them sipping bugs from the surface film for a time, that so long as the fish were feeding and were not aware of me, that they would eat almost any fly that I presented to them. I tied on a humpy as an indicator and a number 10 nymph to the bend of the hook as my dropper. It wasn't long before fish on.
That's great. Did you see how that dry landed first and then the nymph behind? I wonder what happened to that other fish. Do you think he's still holding up here?
Should I pop him down? Pop him down.
To the right of that there's two sort of main currents coming down.
Yes.
There, what
please
happened?
take it.
He took it again, take it.
No.
Yes, he's off to your nymph. Oh, inside, beautiful.
God.
Well done.
Come up, come up. Oh my God.
Well done.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, I caught my first fish in South Africa.
Done.
In my elation and celebratory dance, in reactive tricking the fish into eating my fly, and the cheer of joy that resulted from catching my first fish in South Africa, I lost the fish. I can't tell you how badly this made me feel. I bounced back quickly and got back in the game, but with less than satisfactory results.
Nice cast.
Thank you. I'm not stripping, but I'm just taking in the line. I'm keeping up with the fly, taking in the slack. These fish are so fast, I'd hate to have any kind of slack in the line.
I just couldn't seem to pull it together. So, after a few more fish throwing the hook, I decided to leave the pool to Thalia. I was like a poker player who recognized their luck had changed and the cards have gone cold. So all you can do, if you're smart, is walk away. Which I did. The walk did me some good, and my thoughts were taken up with the beauty around me. Thalia was into fish when I got back, and I asked her if she would like some help to land the beauty. She said sure, but not because she needed my help, but more because she understood how I wanted and needed to have a close look at this fish.
I didn't have another one and I didn't have confidence, so I just left it with the nymph.
Want me to net him or you're okay?
Seem to be managing. Oh, lovely fish.
Gorgeous fish. Hey, what did you catch him on?
I think it's the Zach nymph. Look at that red fin. Have you seen that before?
No, he does have a lot of red.
The fish was bright, youthful looking, and adorned with red dots and circles that could have been the inspiration for any local artwork. Oh, the joy I felt seeing this fish swim off. And I hadn't even been the one to catch it. My turn will surely come, if not today, then surely tomorrow. The cold front was still with us, and the wind was strong and blowing in a different direction, and my old skiing accident was acting up. We had a great early breakfast of muesli and yogurt, with cabbage cakes made up from the leftovers of veggies from the night before. We were off for another day of fishing. We ignored the bad weather, and we were hopeful for a promising day landing wild rainbows. How could we have a bad day? After all, we were fishing in South Africa. The pool was a little quiet. We weren't seeing the rises we had the day before. The fish were on the bottom, waiting out the weather. I did manage a couple takes, but they were short and soft. I played one fish before he popped off, and another was on even a shorter time.
Good cast.
Oh, that's the money hole.
I think, you see, look, I've wrapped this leader properly. We've got a, as us South Africans call it, we've got a hummus.
Hummus? What's a hummus? A bird's
A
nest?
hell of a bird's nest. Hell of a mess.
Hummus. I like that. It sounds like that. What a great morning.
We decided to rest the pool and take a drive into town for lunch. The town, Pilgrim's Rest, had a number of what we would call boutique restaurants. We left the restaurant, and I visited an old woman who was burnishing a big terracotta pot. She was as weathered and leathery looking as the pot she was working on with a shoe brush. She wasn't using terracige in the traditional way to polish the surfaces, but rather with black shoe polish. It was like finding out your diamond is made of glass. Oh yeah.
Can I do like this?
Before I moved on, I asked her to show me how to tie her headscarf. She took the animal print silk scarf with her shoe polish fingers and tied the scarf around her head and not mine.
Hold it. Ah, see, that's better. She has to do it on herself to get the right fit.
The weather had not improved, so we decided to keep walking down the street. I bought a few postcards. They had a picture of two Indabelly women. The women who posed for the postcard were sitting on the porch of the store. They are from the tribe that wear brass rings around their necks and legs. They were doing beadwork and posing for pictures for the passing tourists. As the tourist held up the camera, the woman would say, "Cheese," in stereo. The tourist would be surprised and laugh hysterically. The illusion of wilderness was broken. The ladies were pure of heart and very cheerful. I did a little jig for them, thinking I would try to entertain them for a change. They laughed hard and thought I was funny, trying to keep pace with the local music. A case of white men can't dance. The next shop was a pottery. The owner, Charles, was generous to indulge my passion for clay and invited me to sit at the wheel for a time. I enjoyed it so much, and I talked with him about the similarities between potting and fishing. I wedged up my first piece of clay on a surface that was a little too high for me. It had been a long time since I had thrown a pot, and I was enjoying the process of preparing the clay for the wheel as I had done so many times, so many years before. I pointed out as I started to work the clay up and down on the wheel that as I started to pull the clay into a vessel shape, that the termite mound were also a type of vessel, and that the termites were connected to fishing because the fish eat them. The South African people have a wonderful history of pot making, and I felt so inspired to throw a pot in an authentic South African studio.
You'd think that I was...
The journalist?
You would think that I was a potter, right? Because I'm sitting here making a pot.
Oh, well, you got it.
But I'm actually a fisherman, a fly fisherman.
Charles was curious about this fishing thing, so I tried to use local analogies to paint a picture of what the attraction to catching fish and letting them go is all about. I told Charles that fishing makes you feel centered and in touch with nature as well. Even the birds get in on the act, and they build their bowl-shaped nests out of cloisonné pieces of mud. The fly rod is an extension of your hand that brings a rise from the fish. A fish is a living thing that you have made contact with by holding it in your hands and talking to it and then letting it go. Clay is similar because the hand also breathes life into the clay as the clay rises. The vessel is connected to food, but it doesn't have to be used for food. It can be simply admired as well. A fish is food, but can be simply admired. True, he said. I understand. I made a few pots that brightened my day, and the weather, by this time, had also brightened, so we hopped in the car to go fishing. The evening fish was a bust. You guessed it. We have low water and a cold front. The three of us headed out for the late afternoon bite. When we got to the pool, we did much as we had that morning. What a sight. The three of us huddled behind a large boulder with our heads popping up from time to time to survey the pool. I flicked the fly out to the same spot. Nothing. Again, I flicked it out. Nothing. Nothing. A little further. Nothing. And so it went. I fished with all three rods, mine and the two that I borrowed from the girls, because each of us had a different assortment of fly combinations. Still nothing. Try this, they would say. Nothing. Try this. Maybe a little further, etc. Blanked. we decided to drive out of the valley and make our way high onto the hillside to enjoy the sunset. What a sunset. South Africa is a rainbow nation. As the sun set, I saw the biggest hatch I'd ever seen. A zillion flying ants had taken flight, all queens flying off to start new colonies. The sky was full like a funnel cloud that had touched down to earth in slow motion. They were between me and the sunset. I decided to have a closer look at the hatch. In the end, I found myself in the middle of this special event, their wings tickling my face as they floated past. As I grew more comfortable with my surroundings, that is, ascertaining that they wouldn't get stuck in my hair, I began to spin around as if I was out in a snowstorm of huge, fluffy snowflakes. Except the snow was falling up and not down. Marvelous. That is until I was told that these were termites, and I felt all dirty and creeped out. Apparently, the local people eat them before they fly away, when they are in the bush for a quick energy bite. Buttery tasting, I'm told. At this point, we were all getting a bit hungry, but not for bugs, so we headed back to camp, where we were treated to some homemade local cuisine. I find this place so intriguing. Every bird is more beautiful than the next. The bugs are many and mostly crazy looking, and big. One of my favorite bugs, aside from all the bugs that fish eat, is a praying mantis. They have a knowingness about them, a kind of awareness. It can tell if a person likes them or not. I tell you why I say this. We had a tall candle in the middle of our dining table. All the moths were attracted to the flame. The praying mantis sat on the candle for hours, hunting for its meal, like much of the animals do in South Africa. As we enjoyed our meal, keeping an eye on the mantis, we would notice that every once in a while it would grab a moth that had burnt its wings in the flame and was no longer able to fly. So smart, I thought. He's using a candle as a tool, much as a monkey uses a stick to put into a termite mound to pull out a snack. We talked well into the eve. We did finally go to bed. I fell asleep quickly, but I had my regular, so vivid dreams as a result of the malaria meds. Today is the day that I'm going to land my first fish in South Africa. I can feel it. The conditions are perfect. I understood the water so well having fished it yesterday. I'm not going to waste a cast or spook the fish in the pool with my fly line dashing across the pool at Mach speed, casting a shadow. Instead, I'm hunting, watching, listening for a rise.
The water looks dark because the sun is off the pool.
I'll pick the fish I'm going to cast to and go for it. Very exciting and my favorite way to fish. I picked my target and flipped out a short line. I followed the nymph, slow descent, and I was happy with where it came to rest, well within the fish's feeding window. He was not interested, and I had the confidence in the fly, so I got in the same ready position again. Before long, I was casting furiously here and there in desperation. They were not eating. Time for plan B. One last cast, I groaned, as I let my fly sit in the water as we worked out the logistics for the next cast. What if we load it off the water? And what if we do this? Or maybe if I go around this way? Or what if I do that? As my fly just sat there, and we tried to come up with a new plan. And then suddenly, there was a deliberate wow in my 3-weight rod as the rod tip tapped out an SOS. Fish on! Fish on!
Can you believe it?
They liked that natural drift, didn't they?
All right, I'll tell you what. It doesn't matter what your cast looks like. Just keep your fly in the water. Oh, big, beautiful, angry.
Yes, at
Silver.
last.
Well done.
It wasn't pretty, but the fish was hooked to my delight and surprise. He picked up the nymph that lay on the bottom. I had experienced this before in low, warm water conditions and lazy fish. I understood from the disappointment from my performance the day before that I was off my game, jet-lagged perhaps, or trying too hard even. No, I was rushing it.
This would be officially a memorable fish, 2 new fishing friends, but also this would be my first fish in South Africa. And this has been a wonderful day. I feel just so emotional and so lucky to be here.
Fly fishing, like pottery, is a tactile pastime, sensual in its execution. I needed to slow down and be more in the moment, a lesson I keep learning and relearning. Another first for me, and a picture for my trophy room. My first fish ever while fishing for the first time in South Africa. Pure heaven.
Yeah.